Hi, Kim Fairminer here from Kim Fairminer Astrology with the April update. And yeah, we're a few days into April. Didn't life get interesting a few weeks ago and kind of escalate really rapidly? I am sure I am not alone in having had to make a few significant adjustments to my life. Yeah, I can't just record these videos whenever I feel like it now because I'm sharing my office space with my husband and homeschooling my daughter as well. As so many people around not just Australia but all around the world have had to make like huge adjustments to their personal lives, their professional lives, their relationships and financial situation due to the spread of a virus and certain like restrictions and things that are designed to control the spread. Anyway, I am not here to talk about that because there's plenty of places to get information all about COVID-19, and I do encourage you to read to your heart's content. Gathering information is actually one I wouldn't say a coping mechanism, but it's good to be informed about like situations that affect you. So yeah, if you feel good about going out and getting daily figures and things like that around what's going on in your town, your state, your country, even overseas, where a lot of us have loved ones, please do that. And yeah, connect with your people, connect with your friends and your family. We are isolated in many ways, but we have the internet. And we can communicate in that way. And 100 years ago when the Spanish flu was around, news was not a thing that was easy to come by. So in many ways we are blessed. So anywho, April, let's have a look at the astrology. We've had some pretty meaty stuff go on in Capricorn and Aquarius. Most recently that sign change of Saturn from Capricorn into Aquarius. Saturn will be there from now until around July before popping back into Capricorn. So there's sort of a bit of a window on which to look past this situation into the future, we're not getting there anytime in a hurry, people. So hold your horses, make plans, but don't burn that bridge behind you. Anyway, today I'm recording this on the 4th, and we are in this kind of really the first pass of Jupiter conjunct Pluto, which actually perfects tomorrow. But the way I thought about this is as a defibrillator. Those paddles that they put on somebody when they're having a heart attack. And in many ways our society is at death's door. Yes, in health terms, there is, people dying from this virus that's going around the world, but it's also having this massive effect on our social systems, our economic systems, the way we can move around in physical space. And remember, Capricorn is a physical earth sign, so really interested in that physical world and the and material resources that we have at our disposal. So anyway, this conjunction between Jupiter, the planet of expansion and faith and knowledge and meaning, in Capricorn, not so comfortable in that really kind of material, pragmatic sign, is conjunct Pluto, which has been traveling through there and slowly changing things in that very kind of deep essential way that Pluto works, really kind of slow and rumbling and inevitable. It's the change of life that you cannot stop, even if you wanted to try. It's in some way in the laws of physics, but I think Pluto is even more immovable than a physical law. So Jupiter and Pluto have come together in Capricorn, and we're going to get 3 passes of this aspect of Jupiter going across Capricorn and then back over during a retrograde, and then final pass, and then moving on to Aquarius 2021. So yeah, right now we have that energy coming together, and we're kind of feeling it. We have woken up in this new world, and how we feel about life how we approach our life from a philosophical level has changed profoundly. Pluto brings profound change. So we're having to make that adjustment in the way that we find meaning in our lives, because, you know, you can't just be this particular kind of worker if you don't have that work role anymore. Like, you know, perhaps you used to be a bartender and, you know, you're a fantastic bartender, but, you know, your bar's shut and now you're like at home. You're not a bartender anymore. Or maybe you are. Maybe you're like mixing it up at home. And this is like kind of like the challenge of Jupiter conjunct Pluto. So things have died. And let's face it, things have ended. Like, things are different now, and we can't go back to how it was before. I know there's a bit of talk about that in political spheres and things, but they're kidding themselves. These stars don't lie and they don't mess around. This is a permanent change. Permanent is a really good word for Pluto. When Pluto comes through your chart, whatever it changes it's not temporary. Like, this is a profound life-changing experience. And with Saturn initially, when you know, COVID-19 started, also associated with that eclipse in January, I've just spread. Yeah, so I forget what I was talking about. As so often happens, Venus in Jupiter, Venus in Gemini. We'll just move on to something else. But yeah, I'll get back to my defibrillator analogy. Something has died and it needs like a kind of massive, drastic action to resurrect it. And this is what I think Jupiter conjunct Pluto is for us this year. It's that urge to live, that urge to hang on, and, like, you know, against all the odds. And, you know, some astrologers are giving it a bit of a negative spin, but it's still Jupiter. Like, he's not gonna, I don't know, turn us into, like, you know, sunshine, rainbows and unicorns, but he is bringing life and hope to a dark situation. So I really encourage you to, you know, kind of see it from that perspective. Like, there are positive associated with this terrible experience of, you know, the loss and the grief and just the devastation that this virus is causing in communities across the world cannot be understated. But good things are happening. Like, here where I am, the government is supporting the people that have lost their jobs, and we, you know, as difficult as it's been in my situation, I am still employed because most of my work's online. So I am incredibly grateful for that. But yeah, it's created a bit of a juggle in my home. But from next term, my daughter's going to be provided with some schoolwork online. So, you know, that's one of the benefits of my privileged position, is that I can educate my daughter in that way. Like, not everybody's going to have that option in, you know, developing countries, for instance. I don't know, you know, like, not everyone's got a computer, so it's not possible for everybody. So, you know, recognizing that that option is open to me, and, you know, perhaps if you've lost work, that you do have government support and, you know, the community support that you can access is a gift. It's a gift from your community, from the gods, if you frame your life that way. Anyway, so, like, that's the life. That gasp for breath, that you know, bringing you back from the brink. That is Jupiter conjunct Pluto for my thinking. And right, it's intense right now. Like, make no mistake, it's like super intense. And yeah, Pluto always brings intensity, and here we are, lots of other things happening as well. And like, that is happening right when there's a full moon in Libra. So I wanted to talk about that full moon a little bit. Like, because I'm a practicing witch as well, that connection with the moon is really immediate, and following those cycles, those tidal shifts, you know, it is meaningful for my emotional state, my physical state. You know, as a menstruating woman, like, you know, I can track my cycles by, you know, how full or dark the moon is in the sky. It's really immediate, and it's also really grounding. One of the beautiful things to remember about the moon is that she actually orbits the Earth. All the other planets orbit the sun. So there's that special relationship between our emotional bodies, and our embodied experience here on Earth that has that particular relationship with the moon. So I find it's a really great way of just feeling into those bigger influences as well. And this full moon in Libra is really going to be twigging off that Jupiter Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, because they're both cardinal signs, so they form a square, for those of you that are a little bit more interested in the astrological lingo. Anyway, I'm just going to change my screen and bring up that full moon chart. There it is, and I had some notes on it as well. Where they are. There we go. Thankfully, I still managed to keep my desk, even though I've got a couple of new colleagues in the office. All right, so it's on the 8th of April, which is, anyway, you can work out the date. It's a couple of days away. And, you know, look it up. I like to use the moon phase times on the timeanddate.com website because you can put in your city and it will tell you exactly when the moon is full in your location. So Libra, that's the sign where the full moon is. It's a sign commonly associated with relationships, not just romantic relationships, but also partnerships and finding balance within those partnerships. Of course, the symbol for Libra, the glyph, is based on the scales. So it's justice of a sort. Now, the closest aspect to this full moon is that square to Jupiter and Pluto over in Capricorn, so it's really sensitive. So emotions are definitely going to be heightened, and pressure could be on in your relationships, and it could be like with your you know, marital partner. It could be between bosses and employees. Remember, Capricorn's often a sign of business, so those kind of one-on-one things, you know, there's some tension there and some kind of like emotions that are going to be let out. It's a testy time for many of us, and you think you're okay, but then like something little will set you off. I know I've noticed it myself. I was, you know, attempting to have a quiet, you know, drink out the front away from my family, my lovely, lovely family. I needed just a moment by myself at the end of the day. So I was sitting in the garden minding my own business, and my dog, she's still a puppy, but she's a big girl, and she's going through this little phase where she's a bit like mouthy. Anyway, so I'm minding my business, you know, looking at the sky, listening to, you know, the neighborhood sounds, and then brr, she like gave me a little bit of a nip on the butt because she wanted me to play with her. And, you know, I was a million miles away, like lost in my own thoughts, calming down. And like I snapped at her and I screamed a swear word really loud, and it was in my front yard on the street. And I think bloody everybody in the suburb heard. But just the vehemence that the words came out, like the volume and the, you know, kind of yeah that like came out of my mouth. I like, you know, as soon as it was out, I was like, wow, like where did that come from? And it's that internalized trauma from what we're all going through. Like, you know, all of us have been impacted in various ways, separated from our families. Some of us have lost loved ones. It's you know, or some of us like fear that we will lose loved ones, and, you know, depending on how it spread, that is, you know, entirely possible. So this sense of worry and resistance to what's happening, I mean, because nobody wants to go through that. That's not an appealing experience of, you know, human life on this planet. Nobody would choose that, given a cupcake on the other side. Like, yeah, I'd choose the cupcake. I'll be perfectly honest. I'll choose the Venus-Jupiter experiences over those Mars-Saturn ones. Like, we are predisposed to nice things. So when those nastier experiences come, like they have an effect on us, and we can't deny that effect. So be open with yourself about your emotional state at this point of time, and, you know, do step away and find, you know, ways of, you know, connecting with what's still good in your life, and ways of processing the less good stuff that that is, of course, happening. So anyway, back to that full moon. I've got that outside structures in the world are challenging. No shit, Sherlock, okay? Yeah, but you know, those mundane astrologers, like there are like really amazing mundane astrologers that have looked at those larger planetary cycles, and you know, if you want to read up on, you know, that big picture stuff, yeah, I'll try and think of some names and stuff. I haven't been reading about it. I know Lee Lehman is putting out some really great content on COVID-19 and the astrology of it and all. There was a lady that was into asteroids, and there's a asteroid called Wuhan. Demetra George shared her work in her newsletter recently, so you might find that on her social media as well. That was a really interesting read as well. Yeah, so there are people out there doing that big picture work. More my work, because I have a counselling background as well, and I sort of, I guess, come at it from a more witchy, lived, soulful experience. Yeah, I'm more interested in like the personal ramifications of this, how it will affect your relationships. What does this mean for your, you know, career trajectory? Should you start studying now? You know, like how are my finances going to look? You know, is it all down the gurgler from here? Like these are the kind of, you know, kind of more practical, hands-on, like personal stuff that you know, I'm interested in. So anyway, there's this big stuff going out there on in the world, and then this full moon happens in the sign of balance and fairness, and it's probably going to alert to us, well, that's not fair. You know, relationships in particular, when we're all in a house with you know, our family and loved ones, like, you know, is this new normal? Have you taken on too much? And it's having an effect on your emotional well-being. Like you can't keep burning the candle at both ends, and like sharing things out and redistributing things a bit easy, more equitably will help. I'm losing my words, and I didn't bring a glass of water. Silly me. So essentially, like full moons often bring things to visibility, and things that, you know, you've probably swept under the rug in the past will not be hidden under this full moon. And it's like an action point. Libra's a cardinal sign, so you'll need to do something about this, and that square to those planets in Capricorn is going to create enough discomfort for you to get up and do something. Trines and sextiles, comfortable as, you can just like, if you know, pretty much ignore them, or and you know, there are no negative consequences. But a square is like sitting on a pin. If you sit down in what you think is going to be a nice soft comfy chair and you get a pin, you'll like jump up and yelp and go, what the hell was that? And you know, you'll find it, you'll do something about the problem because it hurts, it's uncomfortable, so you will take action. And this full moon is going to bring things to a head and create action in your life. Check out your horoscopes on my website, kimfairminer.com, and you'll get probably some, hopefully, I've included it for your sign. I do, like, you know, I write concise scopes, so I pick out the big meaningful things for each sign. So yeah, check your horoscope, and yeah, you'll get big clues on what is going to be lit up for you wherever you have Libra in your chart. That is like the big reveal. Libra is ruled by Venus, and Venus is in Gemini. So there's your kind of, I wouldn't say like remedy, but there's your fallback. Just like lighten up. There's heavy shit going on in the world, and like we can worry ourselves and, you know, oh God, what's going to happen, and talk about it and gather information and like get ourselves into kind of like that bad Gemini, busy-headed, like not able to settle down and do anything. But Venus in Gemini is about pleasure. Call a friend, have a bit of a natter, read a book, watch a silly movie. Gosh, a rom-com would be like fantastic. Something with a lot of witty banter where you can just kind of like opt out, release a bit of steam. And because when your physical body is like in a joyful and relaxed space, it's more resilient and more able to cope with the negative stuff. And don't be so serious. So like there's this like mega serious full moon where people are going to be, you didn't do this and now I'm doing that as well, and blah, 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 blah. How are we going to, you know, cope? People are going to be losing blowing their stack this full moon. Like then, like there's pressure from the outside world. It's going to play out in one-on-one relationships. So the best way to push for a fair deal is to come from a lighter, happier space. Don't put yourself under additional pressure. Yeah. So right after the full moon on the 10th of April, Venus goes into her shadow phase. And you might have heard me use shadow phase before. That is a term that we use when a planet is moving into the degrees of the zodiac that they'll go over during an upcoming retrograde. Yes, you heard that correctly. Venus is going to go retrograde. Just like Mercury does 3 times a year, Venus does it about, I think it's every 18 months. And most of this retrograde will happen in Gemini. So there's going to be that extended period of Venus in Gemini. Normally Venus goes through a sign in about 3 weeks. This time she's going to take a lot longer because she's really bright in the western sky. If you look to the west, wherever you are, just after sunset, you'll see a bright star up in the, a little bit above the horizon. And that's Venus. She gets about, I think it's 45 degrees away from the sun, and then she starts to travel back, and that's when she's retrograde. So whenever you see Venus really bright, you know that there's a Venus retrograde coming up. And in this period, we might leave that till I think it's May when she goes. Well, I won't get into that. This video is like blowing out already. So anyway, heads up, Venus retrograde. Be a bit playful. Don't overcommit to anything. That's as much as I think I want to say about that. Just like play with things, experiment. This stuff that we're going through right now is all new. It's a new virus. We have new ways of responding to it, and none of us really know what we're doing, and that's okay. Play with it, experiment, try new things. It's all good. And I think there's a great deal of empathy around because everybody is going through this in, greater or lesser degrees. So the other couple of planet changes that are happening more days into April. On the 11th of April, Mercury goes into Aries. That's going to be quite a relief because Mercury has been in Pisces for a long time. That's where we had the Mercury retrograde in Pisces, and everything was just really confusing. That was a bit of a doozy of a retrograde for many of us. I know it was for me. And I just feel like kind of this sense of mental fog still. So right now, like Mercury is moving away from Neptune in Pisces, and it's been great for dreams and for poetry. A lot of tarot readers I know have been like getting heaps of those visual symbolic language downloads, however they come to you. It's great for that. It is not great for thinking and precise work, and I really pity people that work in IT that have had to, set up all this work from home action and, teachers writing online courses and things while Mercury is in Pisces. And that sense of fake news, there's been so much fake news around, I don't know, my Facebook social, actually, Instagram's fine for me, but my Facebook's gone really weird. It's just like a cesspool of just strange things, strange people. My Messenger, I've just had to shut that down. It's just weird out there. So I'm hoping that with the change of Mercury into Aries, things will kind of tighten up, and we'll get more assertive about, asking for what we want, and people will just be made more straightforward about telling us what they want, and everything will just be a little bit quicker. It's just going from indirect and vague to straight up, right here, right now, let's do it. This is what I want. Can you do it? No or yes? Right. And then things go on or they don't. And it's really clear cut. Beautiful. The 19th of April, the sun goes into Taurus. I think that will make us settle into where we're at. And I know, like, you know, I don't know, like a week feels like a year at the moment with the pace of change and all the crazy news that we get day in, day out. But I think the Sun into Taurus will help slow us down, get into our bodies, and, you know, settle into our new normal. Perpetually looking past this thing that's happening to us now, like, you know, it's okay, but if that's all you've got nothing, because you're not living your life here and now. So yeah, I think Taurus will help us kind of be here, be now, have that embodied experience. It's a fixed earth sign ruled by Venus, and we'll just kind of like drop into our bodies, into our situation. Hopefully it's a comfortable one, and yeah, then we'll go on from there. A few days after the sun's moving into Taurus, we get a new moon at 4 degrees Taurus. That happens on the 23rd of April, Aussie time. Like I said, time and date, you'll get it the exact time for your beautiful location on this wonderful earth. And this new moon is conjunct Uranus, so it's like, it's got like little feelers out, and it's like beaming in information, new information. So like while we're like comfortable, hopefully, where we are, like we'll be, you know, experimenting and starting to go, oh, well, you know, like this is what I have to do. I have to work from home. I have to be around my family all the time. You know, groceries are a bit, what if I did this? Or like, oh gosh, I've got this work challenge. I used to do it this way, but now technology, I'm going to do it this way. So there's a problem solving, like there's practicality thanks to the Taurian aspect, and there's innovation thanks to the presence of Uranus. The notes I've written here are about the changes to your material world, and I think there's a degree of acceptance there. At least there should be, because resistance, stubborn as Taurus is not going to help you out. So yeah, I recommend the ditching the resistance, moving into acceptance, and drawing on that Uranian technology to yeah, help you out. More technology, online work, and yeah, it's not without challenges, but you're resilient, you're innovative, you're like flexible. Maybe not if you're a Taurus, but you can try it. You can see, well, what if I was flexible? And you know, you can just like do it just for, well, just this one time, I'm going to try it this way. Just see. Don't overcommit. Don't expect you to, but it's all good. Yeah, so there will be difficulties adapting. Change isn't always easy, like, and I'm talking on a regular year, but like with so much happening around us now, like, you know, we don't have a choice. Trying to do things the old way will probably get you a large fine, possibly even a jail term, or worse, you know, a nasty virus that could kill you. Anyway, so it's through embracing that change and allowing yourself to change with it that you'll grow as a person, because, you know, new moons bring about new experiences and new cycles of growth. So that's what we're getting in that Taurus new moon. The moon's ruler is also Venus, and we've just talked about Venus in Gemini, where she'll be, you know, hanging out for quite a while. And with that new moon, Venus is making a trine to Mars in, actually, I've still got the full moon chart up there. Let's have a look. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Venus and Mars are in trine there, and like I like that for creativity, because Mars has moved away from Saturn by that point, so he's like kind of less stressed out and feeling less thwarted. Yes, they are still co-present, but you know, there's a little bit more room for movement, so I think you know, that's a good thing. And you know, we talked about Pluto conjunct Jupiter, and Pluto, by this point, by this new moon stage, he is still on 24 degrees Capricorn. So if you've got planets around 24 degrees of those cardinal signs, that's Aries, Cancer, Libra, or of course Capricorn, or the earth and water signs, like pay a bit of attention. Have a look at your chart, have a look, because Pluto means business and there's like some concentrated energy there. So like you're kind of having to work with that intense, permanently changing, creation of permanent change energy of Pluto in a really personal way if you've got planets or points around that 24-degree mark. I am still taking clients by Zoom, so we can schedule something and we can look at your chart if you like. Also at that time, the sun will move like onto Uranus as well. So this sun new moon has got like real innovative possibilities for the way we move around the world, and also the economic reality of the changes that we've been undergoing. So yeah, I am hopeful because there's it's not quite as like tense and nasty. Shouldn't have said nasty, but I did, about that Libra full moon. It has the potential to be a little bit more like less the peaceful Libra and more like let's do something about this, that more cardinal action than the peaceful balance. Like it's about correcting imbalance essentially. But yeah, the new moon I think should see some of those innovations in place, and and then we'll be into May. I do wish you a wonderful April. There are still gorgeous possibilities out there in the world for you and your loved ones. Just remember to wash your hands and stay beautiful and safe. Thank you.